Welcome to the Crawlcast. I'm your host, George Krawczak, and in conjunction with release of the final Mission Impossible movie, today I'm going to be ranking all the Mission Impossible movies from worst to best. And if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button like it owes you money. And so now let's get started. So at number 7, I have Mission Impossible 2. This one is a little bit like the black sheep of the Mission Impossible series, where you can skip this movie and you're not missing anything. None of the characters are returning, other than Ving Rhames and Tom Cruise, who are in every Mission Impossible movie. And this one really has no significance in the series. And it does get credit, though, for this being the only Mission Impossible where Ethan Hunt just kind of does his job, because in all the other Mission Impossible movies, you have Ethan getting framed for killing someone, killing his teammates, blowing up a building, something like that, and then the IMF disavowing him and the government trying to go after him. So this one is unique in that sense, where it is a solo where Ethan Hunt is in charge of a job and he just does his job correctly. And this is just a personal stake for me where John Woo, I'm just not a huge fan of him. I don't like the constant slow-mo. That really just doesn't do it for me. And like it's a good-looking movie. It's just that I hate the slow motion action scenes. I think it really takes away from the actual movie. So the plot of this movie is Ethan is there's going to be a virus that's going to be released, and a guy is trying to cure the virus, and he's trying to make a lot of money off of the antidote. So they're going to try to start a pandemic, and then a guy is going to create a vaccine, and then cure the pandemic and make a lot of money off of it. And overall, it's just kind of an average movie. There is a love interest where this guy has previously played Ethan Hunt in this film, where he is an agent that pretends to be him. And overall, just it's an average to below average film. There's nothing really significant. There's no real cool action scenes. The only significant stunt is Tom Cruise having a knife like a quarter inch from his eye, which is a cool scene, but overall, like I said, it's just not that interesting. The plot's not great. It's pretty boring. At number 6, I have Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And I understand that this is a little bit hard to grade because it is a two-part movie and I've only seen part 1. So you can't say, okay, this doesn't go anywhere because it's setting up for a part 2. But grading as a movie, I think it's just okay. Because, so, there's basically one really great scene where it's a train scene where Ethan Hunt and Haley Atwell's character, they're trying to go from cart to cart while the train is falling off a cliff. And I think that looks brilliant. That looks really, really good. And I think Haley Atwell, really great in the movie. So now kind of go into the negatives. So you have this entity, which is a kind of, how do I say, it's like an AI, and it can have access to all the nuclear weapons in the world. And so all these different foreign countries are trying to get their hands on it to essentially control the world. And so it is interesting where you have Tom Cruise that wants to destroy it because he doesn't want any country to control it. And then you have all these other forces, kind of these countries trying to also get it as well because they want control over it. And then you have the main villain of the story, which is Gabriel. We don't really know his story, which I think really needed to be fleshed out in this movie. So we saw a flashback where it looks like he killed the woman and then framed Ethan Hunt for murder, but we don't really know why or how that happened. And so there's supposed to be an emotional scene where Tom Cruise or where Ethan Hunt is supposed to stop himself from killing Gabriel. And we just don't really have the emotional impact of, well, why did he need to like hold himself back from killing him? Because we don't really know their connection very well. And he also seems to kind of have split allegiances where it seems like he's working for the AI, but also why is he working for the AI? Because it seems like the AI is not really anything in the sense that like if the AI wanted to take control of the nukes and control the world, it could have done so already. It doesn't really need anybody. So it seems like it's just kind of acting in self-interest where it's like, okay, I will allow whatever country that gets to me to control me. I just don't want Ethan Hunt to destroy me. And so Gabriel seems like he's working for the AI, but then there's also points where it seemed like Gabriel wants to control it himself and make sure no other government gets it. It's a little bit confusing what his motivation is because it kind of keeps going back and forth. And then It was also very weird because the main cast is Isla Faust, Benji, and Ving Rhames, where or Luther, sorry, Luther. And they're really not that in it at all. They're focusing on Haley Atwell's character, which is fine, which is fine. She's a really good character, but Isla Faust is probably the second best character apart from Ethan Hunt, and she just kind of gets stabbed. I know it's not supposed to be serious because she's definitely coming back in the next one because, like, you're probably the second most kind of, badass character in the series just gets killed to a little knife stab. So I think they're hiding her for some sort of like motivation to get Haley Atwell's character involved and kind of motivate to help. But it just seems a little bit weird that like okay, she got stabbed a little bit because you saw I can't remember the character's name, but it's played by Pom Klementif, where she uh, is like a Japanese warrior, and she gets stabbed, and she seems to be fine. And then also, it's a little bit weird because Vanessa Kirby's character, who's the international drug dealer, and she seems like a tough woman, she just kind of gets hit and just gets knocked out for a very, very long period of time. So that really didn't make sense to me. I thought they could have done a better job exploring these certain routes. And it's just a little bit confusing because you know, for example, Tom Cruise doesn't want anyone to have control of this AI, so he wants to destroy it, and you need these two keys to unlock it. Well, why did and Tom Cruise has control of one of the keys. So why doesn't he just destroy one of the keys? Because if you need two keys to unlock it and Tom Cruise has one of them, if he just destroys it, then all of a sudden no one can unlock it and gain access to it because the key's destroyed. So that really didn't just make a lot of sense to me. And the motivations are a little bit confusing. And overall, I think it's just a below average movie. Grant, like I said, it's a part one, so maybe they'll delve into a lot of this more in part two. But overall, the motivations, I think it's just not a very entertaining movie. And there was one car chasing that felt like it took like half the movie. It went on for way too long. So at number five, I have Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. So now I think we're getting into the pretty good films. The last two I just don't think are generally good films at all, and then the rest of these are very, very decent films. And so this is Rogue Nation, where what happens is Ethan Hunt is trying to track down this group called the Syndicate. It's ex-agents where they've faked their deaths and now they're basically committing terrorist attacks all over the world. It's a little unclear why they're doing it, but you have Ethan and then you have Ilsa all trying to stop them. Overall, it's a pretty good movie, and then the government does not believe the Syndicate is real. You have Alec Baldwin's character, Ethan Hunley, or actually it's Agent Hunley, trying to stop them, and then you have Jeremy Renner, who is the IMF director, trying to help kind of support them. So they are kind of off the grid, and Ethan is working alone to stop these guys. There's a really great opera scene where all these guys are trying to assassinate a prime minister, and then Ilsa shoots the guy, or Ethan shoots him, but it's non-lethal. And then Ilsa keeps playing her double agent role, which is a little bit confusing to me because it kind of seems like she keeps getting opportunities to like kind of get out of being in the assassin business, but she keeps getting brought back in, and it's a little unclear because she seems like she is one of the most competent, great characters in all these movies, and it seems like if she wanted to leave, she could easily leave. And so, I don't know, it kind of feels a little bit derived trying to get her to keep going back in. But overall, great movie. The great stunt in this one is Tom Cruise hanging off an airplane. That's really nice. And I do think there's some great comedic aspects, but a little bit of it is overblown. And overall, I think this is a pretty good movie. Solomon Lane is a decent villain, and I think the symmetry at the beginning of Ethan getting gassed and then Ethan trapping him in the box at the end is really good. So overall, pretty good movie. So at number four, I have Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. This is a really good movie. So in this movie, Ethan is framed for destroying the Kremlin, and the IMF initiates Ghost Protocol, basically disbanding the IMF. The IMF director is killed, and Ethan Hunt and Jeremy Renner's character have to uh, work together to try to stop nuclear war because this terrorist group blamed the attack on the U.S. And so the Russians think the U.S. blew up the Kremlin, and so they want them to go to the Russians to nuke the United States. So in this movie, Tom Cruise climbs the Burj Khalifa, which is very impressive. And then overall, it's just really good. So they try to intercept nuclear launch codes, and um, Jeremy Renner is feeling so much guilt because what happened is that he thought he was responsible for Ethan Hunt's wife Julia for being killed. And in reality, Ethan faked Julia's death so that she can live a normal, peaceful life while he is doing his stuff because he knew that if someone got to her or got to or he knew that someone could get to him or her to get to him, if that makes sense. And overall, this is just a really good movie. You have a really great bad guy, although there was a fight in a car park that I felt like got on a little too long. And then Ilsa Faust is really, really great character. Again, probably my favorite character in the series, where she kind of works at odds with Ethan, and overall, uh, is it, how do I say? She wants to stop the bad guys, but she's also working for them, so she has to kind of conceal herself, where she's a double agent. And then you also have the ending scene, which I think is one of the greatest I've seen, where you have a bomb strapped to Benji's chest, and Ethan, what he does is he has memorization of all these bidding websites who these bad guys are trying to sell the nuclear launch codes. And he's basically like, if you blow me up, it's over. I'm your key. Don't blow up Benji and kill me. And so now they have to work at trying to get the codes off of Ethan. It does take a little bit of a step back because there's no Luther in it, and he's in all the other ones. Well, he is in it, but just a little cameo at the end. But overall, great, great movie and really entertaining. At number three, I have the original Mission Impossible. This is, again, an excellent movie where Ethan Hunt is disavowed by the IMF because his entire team is killed except for him. And so the IMF thinks he did it, and they found out that they had a double agent working for them and someone who secretly wanted to steal some launch codes to give it to a international arms dealer for a lot of money. And in the end, it turns out it's not Ethan, it's actually his like mentor, Jim Phillips. And overall, it's a great film because it's like setting up who you don't know who to trust, you don't know what's going on, and I love how when you rewatch it, knowing the big twist at the end, you can see certain little details showing you, okay, this is how we know Jim is actually the bad guy and it's not Ethan. And overall, it's an excellent movie. Introduces stuff like the mask, the iconic theme song, the Ethan dangling like an inch from the ground. That's iconic. And I think the ending scene is really good, where they're on the train and they have the helicopter battle. And overall, it's just an excellent, excellent movie. Kind of make you think about all the intricacies of spy work, introducing a lot of new technology that could potentially be used. And overall, it's really, really good. And that is why it is at my number three. At number two, I have Mission Impossible Fallout. This is a really great movie with a lot of really great action scenes. So you had Tom Cruise doing the Halo jump out of a plane, and then Henry Cavill is such a great villain and sets up such a great threat to Tom Cruise. So the story of this one is the Syndicate is kind of back, and they want to basically get these nukes and blow up China, India, and Pakistan. I do have to say it does take you a little bit out of it. Like, do you want is there like three like other countries that they can threaten to blow up because like it doesn't the China, Pakistan, and India aren't really the three countries that have the most like goodwill where it's like, oh no, hopefully they don't blow them up, and they're not really the three countries that you're most worried about, let's just say. And so overall, it's a really great film. And what happens is although there's a stupid moment where Tom Cruise has these nukes and they threaten to shoot Luther, and so Tom Cruise leaves and the terrorists get the nukes. And it's stupid because you kind of should have let Luther die. If the whole thing is saving the most lives and it's like, okay, they're going to kill 2 billion people, or you let your Luther die, you probably should let him die, to be honest. But um Ilsa Faust, really great. Again, I think she is the best character in the Mission Impossible series. I think she's at least on par with Ethan Hunt. And there's a lot of great action scenes, especially at the end, the final fight scene where Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill are going at it, and then Ilsa Faust and Salman Lane are going at it, and the time's ticking. And then also you bring back Ethan's wife from the third one, and Julia, and she's there as well to provide more motivation for Ethan Hunt. Just everything about this movie works. Henry Cavill, great villain. Um, it's I like smart, competent characters because they're all suspecting Henry Cavill being the villain. So what they do is they have Benji pretend to be Solomon Lane, and when Henry Cavill kind of goes to kidnap him, it reveals no, that's Benji, not the real Solomon. So overall, excellent movie. I think there's a lot of great action scenes, a lot of great story, and it feels like this one probably should have been the end of it. Granted, I have no idea what the final movie is, but this really felt like the perfect send off where okay, he's moved on from Julia. Ilsa's kind of his new love interest, and this was just a perfect movie for a perfect send off. And overall, I think it should have been the end of the series. We'll see if the next one's good or not. But this one's just really good. You brought back Ving Rhames, and he's actually working hard and trying to take down these nukes. And overall, the whole team of, Ethan, Benji, Luther, and Ilsa all work together greatly. And they even brought back Julia, which is a cool callback. And I think this is just one of the best movies they had and kind of should have ended it here. At number one, I have Mission Impossible 3. This is the best Mission Impossible film. And what happens is that Ethan is getting older and he decides to retire from being an IMF field agent. And then what happens is he goes down and he's about to marry the love of his life, Julia. Then all of a sudden he gets called back for a special mission because one of the people he trained gets captured. And so he goes down and saves her, and then he realizes something's up and there's a mole in the IMF. And so what happens is that soon after realizing that uh, the bad guy Donovan gets captured, who's an international arms dealer, and he wants this thing called the Rabbit's Foot, which is kind of hinted at that it controls all technology in the world, but it's never explicitly stated, so we don't actually know what it does. But so he kind of uses his strategy of when he gets thrown out of the plane, to basically not break, and when he's getting threatened to throw out of the plane, and he learns Ethan's identity, and then they capture Julia, and so Ethan has to go and try to fight all these guys and find Julia and obtain the rabbit's foot. Then we learn that the IMF director, or the IMF director's assistant, is the one who is the traitor and helped capture Julia. So Donovan, I can't remember who he's played by, but really excellent villain, really intimidating. You believe this is a drug dealer that will kill Ethan, and then you have great motivation of Ethan just wanting to retire and having his love interest of Julia, and that also is great motivation for him to go save her. And then you have the rabbit's foot, which is just a device to obtain. It doesn't really play a huge part in it, I feel like. But overall, this is excellent. There's a lot of excellent scenes, a lot of excellent build up, a lot of excellent fight scenes. Him trying to coach Julia through trying to protect both of them because Ethan has a bomb planted in his head. Excellent. This is the best movie by far in the Mission Impossible series. And that is my rankings of all the movies in the Mission Impossible series. If you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Like it owes you money. And if you like this type of, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I'll see you on the next one.